Alright, troops, listen up. It is because of your hard work that we have actually made advancements on enemy territory and are officially making progress. Now, of course, I know that you know who the enemy is. There is no nation, no country, no group of people that is more dangerous to the human species than AI Slop. AI games that are copy and paste, that are just completely ripping off of somebody else's idea. Yeah, okay, maybe there are other threats in the world that are probably more important to focus on, but you have to really understand, and I know you do if you've seen these games before, they are just, oh man, they're out there, and they are in your face if you ever go onto a digital storefront, if you're ever on the Xbox store, the PlayStation store, the Nintendo store. I haven't heard much of like Steam and Epic suffering from this phenomenon as well, but I would only assume that PC platforms are just as much, if not maybe more, riddled with these games. Now, very recently, I have talked about this twice. Actually, this is in the past month. So yeah, about a month ago, I talked about how the Nintendo eStore was suffering from these cheap fake games. Yeah, the creative director of Witchbeam, which makes Unpacking the official version of it, talked about how there are a lot of these cheap fake copy and paste games on the Nintendo eStore that basically just try to make people think that it's like an actual sequel, only to get them to spend their money, and then they find out it's just kind of nonsense copy and paste garbage. And then just recently, this was only about a week ago, I talked about Poppy Playtime. They're suffering from kind of the same thing as well. Specifically, it seems like it's one company that is doing this. They are making intentionally misleading titles like Poppy Playtime 3. Just ridiculous spam, obviously meant to scam people. Well, it turns out that, yes, as I said, some of our fellow soldiers have been doing the Lord's work and have exposed these cheap fake games, and we've actually been making some progress just overall on hopefully doing a better job at getting rid of them and maybe even just stopping them before they even get on the stores. Plenty of work to be done, don't get me wrong, but this is some progress. Now, believe it or not, we actually have to give this one to IGN. So this all started about a week ago when they did a sort of investigation on this quote-unquote e-slop, and that must have brought some attention to the matter, because now today Eurogamer has talked about how it would seem that since this article came out last week from IGN, things are actually improving a bit, at least on the PlayStation Store. Unfortunately, this is just one slop developer that has been hit with a lot of these takedowns, seemingly. So this slop developer, as I am calling it, not the official title, yeah, they didn't pay money for everybody in town to call them that, like in the Fable games, but you know, they might as well have. This is a developer called Random Spin. They make just a ton of games. They are pumping these games out so fast to the point where Activision must actually be jealous, and they must be rethinking the whole once-a-year Call of Duty formula. They must think that that is nothing compared to this, because, well, these reports have determined, just to give you a little insight on them, that they released a total of 12 games last year, and in some cases they released multiple games in the same month. Mind you, this is a studio that nobody really knows about. I would only assume this is probably just like one person. Again, very much using AI, not actually developing anything, in my opinion. But ever since this IGN article came out a week ago, now people are noticing that on the PlayStation Store, a lot of these games have disappeared. Now, these games, I would definitely classify them as cheap fake games. They absolutely use ideas from other games, like for example, the Supermarket Simulator Pro game. Yeah, just a wild hunch here. I'm gonna guess that it has at least some influence from the game that is literally called Supermarket Simulator. Oh, this one's got pro in the name though. Oh, it's different. And then they've got a Backrooms game. Yeah, I've never heard of that before. They've got a game called Body Cam Shooter. Once again, just adding a word at the end of the title of a well-known, already established video game. Yeah, so point being, a lot of people have noticed that a lot of these games have now been taken off of the PlayStation Store. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this is the case on some other stores as well. I think it still is on the Nintendo Store from what it looks like. But I suppose we can count this a victory. Obviously, this is the battle. This is not the war, folks. folks. Nothing has been won yet. You don't need to have a victory celebration, because clearly there is still much work to be done. Okay, this is a new one to me, by the way. In this Eurogame article, I had not heard about this, but they also mentioned just another funny cheap fake game I want to mention here. There is a game right now called Wukong Sun Black Legend. Wow, that looks great. Very original. This is gonna be a hit. I'm calling it right now. Oh, what's that? Oh, you say there's a game that already came out 6 months before this called Black Myth Wukong? Made and published by a company called Game Science. No, that sounds fake. I'm sure they just stole the idea somehow from Global Game Studio. I mean, come on, everybody knows Global Game Studio. They're the maker of such hits as Football Stars, Head, Ball, Soccer, Co-op. I had to click on it to find out more. Oh, Battle. That's the last word, Battle. And no other game. Yeah, I mean, sure. Alright, yes, you clearly get my sarcasm here. These cheap fake games, they gotta stop. Whoever's making this happen to get rid of them from these digital stores, I just have to say, you are doing the Lord's work. Keep it up. We all love you. Yeah, this just really needs to stop. I hope and I think that in the long run, games like this are really going to suffer from a crackdown, as I really do think that people from PlayStation, Nintendo, and Xbox do know that it just makes them look bad. It's too much filler and it just needs to stop.